Hi, everybody. I'm Audrey Moore with Audrey Helps Actors Podcast, and this is episode number Repeato. Hayley O'Connor, winner of Self-Tape May Challenge 2019. So we are repeating this episode so everyone can have a little heads up on what we're doing and get a little inspiration. This week we are repeating the 2019 winners episode for Self-Tape May, and next week, May 3rd, we are going to air the winner for the 2020 Self-Tape May Challenge winner, Danny Diet, which we are so excited about. It's such an incredible episode. Before we get into it, I just want to give a quick rundown of Self-Tape May. I'm getting a lot of questions, so I'm actually going to post this for everyone. So what is Self-Tape May? Self-Tape May is an Instagram free challenge to complete 16 self-tapes for the month of May, posted to Instagram with the hashtag Self-Tape May. The materials must have aired. They must have aired somewhere. If it is a movie, aired on the silver screen. If it's a television show, it has to have aired on television, internet streaming. If it's commercial, it must have aired. It must be an aired commercial. If it is a play, if it's a monologue, it should be from something that has been published, so that you're not taking somebody's work that has not been given the opportunity to come out swinging and have the creator's artistic stamp on it. Do not post stuff that has not aired. If you have a real audition and you want to add it to the mix, you must put it on mute. So you can post it on mute, only mute, don't get in trouble. Your agents and managers and casting directors' worst nightmare is you taking material that has not aired and then posting it on social media. I know that you're proud of your work. You need to mute it. And you can't tell anyone what it is. You just have to say, here is an actual audition that I had, and it is on mute for this reason. You can do commercials, you can do television, you can do monologues, you can do commercials that don't have dialogue. That's a really big thing that we are talking about this Self-Tape May, is people who want to come into the commercial fold of Self-Tape May. And a lot of commercials, they don't have anything on them that is dialogue driven. So just maybe a look or walking into a room, seeing something, and then walking out. Some of those are the most challenging auditions. You can do a co-star, you can do a guest star, you can do a series regular. You can do a series regular, scene 1, day 1, scene 2, day 2, scene 3, day 3. It can be 8 seconds or it can be 8 minutes. There are no rules of length. You post to your Instagram or to a Finsta private Instagram account, so that's a fake Instagram account, and that just has to have the Self-Tape May hashtag on it. Just be aware, if you want to be private with your Self-Tape May contributions, that if you do this Self-Tape May hashtag, they will not appear when you search the Self-Tape May hashtag. So just be aware of that. I leave it up to all of you, whether or not you want to share your journey in progress privately or publicly. If you do have a private account, a lot of people go up to people who have participated in the past or in the present, and they start inviting people to watch and just to witness their progress. Some people don't want anyone seeing it, and then they don't post any of their tapes until the very end of the month, and then they tag me in them, and they just say, hey, I did all my 16. This is a private account. I didn't want to share it, but I did want you to see that I completed the challenge. You can post them at once at the end of the month. You can do daily if you want. You can do 4 and then another 4 and then another 4 if you want, or you can do 2 and then you can do 14. There's no rules to posting so long as by the end of May, when we finish May, you have posted all of your tapes. If you don't get it all done, that's great. It doesn't matter. This is for you to practice self-tapes and have it be, something that is empowering to you and exciting to you, and get a group of friends to work with you. You go on We Audition, get some readers if you want, be on We Audition and be a reader for somebody else if you want. Super exciting, really helpful. And the biggest thing is that it should be free. It's free. It is nothing that you have to sign up for. It is just something that you participate in. You don't sign up, you participate. That seems to be very confusing to everyone, so I'm sorry. Just participate by posting and using the hashtag SelfTapeMay. I'm going to announce on April 29th what the thing is that you have to wear somewhere in your self-tape so that I know you're not a cheater, pumpkin eater. So this is just to make sure you're doing these tapes in May. You can also redo tapes that you've done in the past. So if you're like, oh my God, I did 6 tapes last year that I just feel like I could do better on, please redo them. Have your growth experience. I'm all about it. Also, when you have the thing, sometimes people forget to wear the thing. So year 1, 2019, it was a paper clip. Year 2, it was tape. And sometimes you're just gonna forget. Sometimes people, if they have a real audition, they just hold the object up like, hey, this is tape. And then they place it down, and then they do the audition and put it on mute. If it's a real audition, mute it, because they don't want the thing on them for the real audition. And then when they send the real audition, they just edit that part out. So you can absolutely do that. All of that is game. I'm not gonna be like a self-tape made police. It's just, if you are drawn at the end and you win the self-tape made challenge through a random drawing, then I'm just gonna go through your Instagram account and make sure that you have completed all 16 and that they are qualified, mostly by having the little thing that I'm asking you to wear. So how do I choose a winner? I'm going to choose the winner in the end of May, so probably beginning of June. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask people to tell me they've completed the challenge. I don't want to look for you, so you're going to tell me that you've completed it. I will let you know where to submit that you have completed it. That way you can just take whatever it is that your Instagram name is, maybe your full name, and you're just gonna let me know. Once I've gotten the entire list of people who've completed the challenge, I will repost that list of like, yay, these people completed, I'm so excited for you. And I'm gonna post that to Instagram. Everyone's gonna have a number next to their name. And then I'm just going to use a random number generator on the phone, and whoever it is that wins, I'm going to post that to Instagram and announce it on the podcast. And that person will come on and be on the show as the winner of the 2021 Self-Tape May Challenge. So in order to qualify, you have to have had 16 completed tapes. Okay, everyone, that's my goal and my wish for you. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask people who've completed the challenge before. There are a lot of people who've completed the challenge in the past. And I'm very excited for everyone. A great thing to do is have an intention of what it is that you're looking to accomplish. Start getting your tribe together, the people that you're gonna maybe schedule some time with and do some self-tapes with. 16 is a lot harder than it sounds, as everyone realizes. And I just really encourage you to have fun, to have a goal, and just to keep walking along and do as many as you can. If you can complete it, great. If you can't, I'm still so happy and proud of anyone who does even one tape. I know it's hard to do a tape that's not real and not assigned. So good luck to everyone that self-tape me. As far as Hayley, I do have some really exciting updates for everybody. I said, hey girl, hey, do you have anything that you want to tell people? Because I'm repeating your episode. And she said, most important update is my God, period, damn, period, hair, period, has grown now, period. Ha 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 ha. She said the majority of the overwhelming messages she got were for her hair, and people who were defending her, people who were being like, yeah, maybe you should change it. So she's grown it out. She has an incredible haircut by the incredible Carla Zuniga Hair, who I talk about on this podcast all the time. You really, guys, you should check it out. It is so cute. It's similar to what she had before she went super, super short, and now it is so adorable. She got some really great headshots, and now she's getting out for auditions that she thinks are really great for her. She's getting television auditions for, female late 20s, unkempt, a ball of nervous energy, female 20s, messy cute, female 30s, a nerdy little woman. And she's like, so maybe my casting is just being a total mess. I'm not really sure. But she also said another really big update was the work on story. She really understood when I said to her, story. She said she did her homework on that. And as a result, she went back to CD workshops. She is now crushing CD workshops. And that for the first time since she has really begun them, she does a workshop and then she's getting called in. And then she does a workshop and then she's getting called in. She's like, oh my God, this system works. I believe you, OMG, which I I just love, she says, at the moment I'm writing this, I'm sending a self-tape to the Orville. It's a show I really was targeting that was right for me. And last Self-Tape May, I actually did a lot of material from the Orville. So I just love that. What you focus on expands. She focused on it, it expanded, and she's getting those opportunities. And what a great just piece of information about how, if you focus on this thing called story, which I'm telling you guys about all the time, story. If you're like, I'm doing workshops and they're going great, but then you're not getting called in, then they're going solidly. But people who really kick ass and take names in workshops that have casting that is understandable and clear and casting knows what to do with them, those people get called in from workshops. So, just take Hayley's word for it. Reach out to her if you want to hear more about her journey in that. And also in 2020, because of all of the work she's been doing, she won the general meeting with casting director Sarah Isaacson during one of the monologue challenges that happened during the beginning of quarantine. She told her that she just loved her monologue and that she wanted a general meeting. She wasn't going to just pick one winner. And she was one of a very small few people, which I just love so much. In terms of her goals for Self-Tape May 2021, she said she really just wants to love the work that, at the end of 2020, like so many of us, she was just doing the work and she'd sort of lost her joy and her pleasure in the pursuit of it, which happens, especially during this pandemic. You get down, you get sad. And so she just took some time for herself and self-care, and she has come back swinging with inspiration and passion and fervor. And 2021, she said she's been doing 4 tapes a week, she realized, for the last 2 months. So she said, Self-Tape May feels like it's going to be easy and super fun, and she's already doing it, so she's just going to start incorporating it into the social media platform with the hashtag Self-Tape May. Her goal, number 1, is to still love acting by the end of May, which she is, passionate about and just wants to have a good time. And then her goal number 2, she says, I did come here to make friends. Some of the best people that she has created relationships with in Los Angeles, she says, are actually people she's never met in real life, but these are people that she has a mutual admiration self-tape May experience with. And she said, that's reason enough for people to do it. Just making a community, having supportive people who are all on the same track, who are who are game, who are here to just encourage and cheerlead each other. That's so great. A little plug for Hayley, which I love, is We Audition, you guys. We Audition, promo code Audrey25. She said, and I've heard this so much, you're going to hear this from Danny Diet's episode next Monday, that one of the biggest things for her to help her understand story was going on We Audition and being a reader. So you can go and see her at www.weaudition.com/HAYLEYO. Hayley O, like Hayley O'Connor, but Hayley O. So just know you spell it hay, like a barrel of hay, L-E-Y-O. Hay, L-E-Y-O. Hayley O, weaudition.com, Hayley O. So you can find her there. She said it was just so eye-opening because when she wasn't doing the sides for herself, when it wasn't her in the middle of the story, she could just see the story so much more clearly. And she started to understand, there is something that this scene needs to have happen in order for us to do the rest of this movie or the rest of this television episode. And when working with other people, it really helped her out so much. And so now when she gets something for her own audition purposes, or she's doing a workshop or something, she just can see so much more clearly what it is the requirements of the story are so that she can fulfill it. So I'm so proud. I'm proud of Hayley. She has competed 2 Self-Tape Mays, winner of 1. She's competing again, and I mean competing, I mean participating. Let's be clear. You're not competing with each other. You are participating with each other. So she is participating in the Self-Tape May Challenge for 2021. I am so, so happy for her, and I look so forward to watching her growth and progress. Thank you so much, everyone. This is going to be an incredible repeat episode, and next week I will have a brand new episode with the Self-Tape May Challenge winner for 2020, Danny Diet. She's got an incredible story. I'm so excited. Have a great day. I hope you are doing a self-tape right now. and I hope that you book it.
Audrey helps actors because they don't know anything.
Hi, everybody. I'm Audrey Moore with Audrey Helps Actors, and today we have...
Hayley O'Connor.
Hi, honey.
Hi.
Yay, so Hayley, tell them what you won.
I won Self-Tape May.
You won the Self-Tape May Challenge.
Oh,
Yay.
yes. I was so pumped when that happened.
For you. Yes, so tell everybody, because we probably have some newer listeners who maybe aren't fully aware of what the Self-Tape May is. So let's recap Self-Tape May for everybody. So what happened?
You started this, I guess, competition, or really a practice everyone should be doing of doing self-tapes at home, trying different stuff or whatever it is that we need to work on.
Yeah.
Do at least 16 for the month of May was the thing. Post them so it's legit.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And that was... Yeah, I think I won, but it was a random drawing.
Yeah,
Right?
it was a random drawing.
Everyone was amazing.
Just luck and karma. So,
I'm the best.
Yeah, that's right. She's the best. She won through her sheer magnificence. I did a random drawing. And the impetus for Self-Tape May was really because May traditionally is a really depressing month in Los Angeles because the industry really slows down. You start the new year out with all these aspirations and hopes, and everyone talks about pilot season, but most people aren't actually qualified to be auditioning for pilot season. That's just not their resume, or whatever doesn't really sort of get them in the game. And so even if you take part in pilot season, you're so burnt out, and then likely just mathematically your pilot didn't go, or your role got cut, or you got recast, and everyone's sort of waiting for upfronts to happen to see if their pilot is even existing, or their show that they come off of, that they just finished season 1 of some show, if that's going to get renewed for a second season. And it's generally just an all-out sad month for actors, I would say. And so I really wanted to do a movement to really sort of kickstart everybody to feel proactive, to feel active in a month that otherwise usually sends people into a spin of depression. So, hopefully that worked for all of us.
So great. Well, even I'm glad you did it, because it was really the kick I needed of see everybody else doing it and actually do the thing, because I had already been listening to this podcast and you do really hammer home practice yourself, evaluate yourself on camera, and yeah, that's so smart. And I have
that's what everyone does. Everyone's like, that sounds so smart.
Really,
that Audrey, she really did some work.
Even I will say, I have now a sort of pen pal from just graduated from where I went to school.
Yeah.
And he's planning to move to
LA.
Los Angeles, and I'm from Maine.
Yeah.
So it's very different. There's no industry in Maine.
Sure, right, yeah.
And it's so, and he's, what should I have prepared? And I'm really should practice self-taping. I'm not fucking doing it.
Yeah, no,
It's so smart. It's the best thing you could do. So anyway, setting up that competition, I was like, okay, now just do it, and then I'll make these good habits, which I will say, I mean, I'm not doing 16 every month of my own practice, but it is now more of a habit than it was. So
yeah, and hopefully it normalizes the whole experience, because I think part of what happens is that auditions come, and when auditions come, it's a little bit it's like panic. And I had done 2 years of self-tape practice Monday through Friday for about 2 years, and for me, part of the impetus for that was practicing at the level with which I actually wanted to receive auditions is a big part of it. And I had this experience, I waited tables for many years, and one of my philosophies in waiting tables was always stay busy so that I'm prepared for the rush. And so I would always be polishing glasses. I would always be I would just make myself busy. And then when the rush happened, I was really prepared for the volume. And I was sort of known for, being a really high volume server, right? And so I sort of just tried to apply that same premise to acting of I'm just going to pretend that I have all these auditions and work them as though I do. And then when I do, I'm hopefully going to be in a place where it's not as shocking or panic worthy, and maybe the gap between no auditions for X amount of time to then suddenly having an opportunity doesn't feel as jarring.
Yeah, you had said that, I think, on a previous episode, you wanted to prepare for a volume because you wanted to receive a volume. And like, God, that stuck with me so much. It was so good.
Yeah.
And I'm pre-May, I had all this like from overtime workshops and class and whatever. I just had this folder full of like just material. I was like, I'm going to do this whole folder. And like, I barely made 16.
Yeah, there's some value, for a lot of people just getting it done.
Yeah.
They're gonna have growth and reflection in just the act of doing the work. So for those of you who have a self-tape practice, just sort of decide where you're at. For if you're not really auditioning, if you don't have the luxury of I would say television auditions. Hayley will talk about this. She's auditioned and worked a lot commercially, and that's a different beast. And there's some advantages to that in that you just get used to auditioning. You get used to being in front of directors. You get used to being in front of the camera. You get used to what a set is. But a lot of people just don't have the commercial thing, whatever that thing is. They don't book commercially and they don't really audition commercially. And they're trying to impinge in the theatrical market, theatrical meaning film and television. And I find that the self-tape practice, if you're not even getting the opportunity to be in front of the camera, for so many of us, we're theater trained, and then it's like a camera feels like, hey, what? Who's it? And just can get you used to whatever that is, right? And so that's valuable. For some of you, you are maybe at a higher phase. You're maybe phase 2, phase 3, and a more specific intention with your self-tapes is maybe required. So for some people, maybe if you know that your casting is a sort of profession that is jargon related, I really recommend, doing as many jargony self-tapes as possible and start small. Like, can I learn 3 jargon sentences in a night and then show up tomorrow and in one take do 3, which is really, for a lot of people, really hard. And you also might discover certain skills you have. I know for self-tape may, like, some people may discover they're really facile with jargon. And if that's a skill, that's almost like its own little special skill, and that person should run with that. If somebody discovers that they don't have that skill, or say that you discover that maybe your comedy is not as strong as you want it to be, then you have to decide either you're just not going to make comedy your focus, and in doing so, you're cutting yourself out of, depending on your market, 50% of your opportunities, which I'm not going to say is wrong, because I really believe in focus and I believe in power of intention and clarity. And if you're like, drama is it for me, I think there can be a lot of power in that choice. But know that it's a choice. And so if you decide that you do want to do comedy and you don't feel you're as competitive, then maybe your self-tape should really be geared towards a practicing of comedy and a kind of comedy that you particularly feel like you need strength in.
Oh, yeah, so much truth.
So let's talk a little bit about setup. So what did you find for your setup?
So I had a ring light before. I had that. I have my phone, which is a Google Pixel phone. And I had a Rode Lav mic.
Sure.
Which is great, which before May, I had been using it. I'm like, I don't really notice a difference when I use the mic or not, and it just all sounds shitty. But that's because I should just switch the iPhone, I guess, is what this is going to tell me. But like you had to go separate from your camera and go say, use the external mic. And there was also an exposure lock on my camera that was not intuitive. So I actually posted during May, and I think you responded, and some other people responded who were participating, and I'm like, why when I move at all, my light is like flashing, and I'm like, I have a ring light, I have natural daylight, and it's because it wasn't exposure locking, and now it is, and that made a huge difference. So,
but aren't you glad that you experienced that while practicing instead of like sending an official tape?
Yeah, but then I cringe and think about all the ones I did send in prior to this.
But that's what's so great about the practice, though, right? Is then you figure it out, and like, yes, and I'd rather you have done those and then figured it out, and then everything moving forward, than for you to have not. So that's part of what I think is important is, just figuring out, do you have what you need to make something that is really up to your professional standards, and that you're getting feedback that it is of a standard that people respond positively to. Yeah. I use the ring light. So I have the ring light up on the website, you guys, that I use. You guys, I don't get any kickbacks on any of it. And there was a contraption thing that like they had changed the thing. So I updated everything. But just know with the ring light, you guys, that I really mostly use that for when I travel, I would say, because I particularly got a very small one that's very mighty and it fits in my carry-on. Because you guys, I swear to you, New Year's Eve, I have been out of town on New Year's Eve, hanging with my nephews in Dallas, and gotten like a series recurring audition. Like, need it
some more.
You're right. But just to say that, like, I just always found that I need it. You know, it's just whatever you think is like, oh, no one's going to call me during this time. Always will. So always pack it. So I pack it. And I also use it because it's quite bright. I use it for anything that's kind of multicam, anything comedy that I think requires a lot of brightness. There is a ring that happens on glasses. If people are wearing glasses, just be aware of that. But otherwise, I use soft boxes. It's just the soft boxes are really big. They're hard to set up in your house. Not every, part of the nice thing about the ring light too is a lot of you are in these like small little apartments and you've got like one room that you have to, now your bedroom that you have next to, you've got 3 roommates, you have a bedroom, luckily to yourself, and you have now a bedroom that has to serve as an office, a bedroom, and a self-tape place. And so I'm not having a bunch of soft boxes hang out in your place. So to whatever degree, I find the soft boxes are a little easier to control. They give a little bit more of an even light. So just FYI, you guys can know what I do for myself. I have a lav that's extra long, and I just try to check it. And listen, if you're using an iPhone, this is the lesson learned. Always clean your iPhone, because you've got all your oil and all the stuff on it. And then I'll do like an amazing take and I'm like, why is it blurry? And then I clean it and I'm like, no, it just needed to be cleaned. Oh, and if you have a case, like a charging case or something, you can't record it into the case. You have to do the mic into the iPhone. I learned that the hard way. I did magnificent work for, I think, like an hour on a huge guest recurring on a huge show, and we finally got to take on this like 3-page monologue that I was so happy with, and then we checked it and there was no sound. Yay!
Well, that's too. I do have it's like an older model. I have a DSLR camera that like I know some basic stuff. I'm not great with it, but
sure.
Like, I'm always worried about using that for my tapes instead of the phone, because it's counting on someone else to operate it, my readers are not even always actors or anyone related to anything to do with this. But like, and the focus is really finicky. So I did so many tapes years past or whatever with my DSLR that are just like, you can kind of see shapes moving. That's
there they are.
Human, like
hilarious. Yeah. Okay, so you finished Self-Tape May. What else did you sort of experience as far as like, now that it's done, what did you feel like you experienced? What growth did you feel like you learned? Or what shocking discoveries about your work do you feel like you had? And where do you feel like you want to go next with that?
Oh, so discovery, like, the main one, I kind of already said this, but like, I still kind of think I have a pretty good like handle on my regular life of like how to make time for everything, how to like make my money and like get everywhere I need to get. And like I have a job that has been pretty good. I haven't missed an audition this year ever, which
awesome.
Like, wasn't even the case when I was a waitress or like I still had to like miss stuff sometimes. Yeah. So that's been good. So I was like, oh, it's going to be so easy to do 16. And it still was a struggle to get everything done.
I think that's one of the other big priorities I have for a self-tape practice is, do you actually have the room in your life to be as successful as you want to be? Because when you realize that what you were actually doing here is we're auditioning for a living. Like, you audition a lot and then you book. And then there's a time where sometimes you'll book things where you're shooting the whole time, so you don't maybe audition as much. But even then, you're still usually like, they start sneaking you self-tapes and stuff while you're on set and things like that. And you really do have to have the time, the energy, and the money to handle that much volume? And do you have a life set up where you can do it? And I think a lot of the feedback I got from Self-Tape Me, which I loved, was people realizing that they couldn't handle it. Like their life wasn't set up for it. What you focus on expands. And when you're like, I want to work, and so I'm going to do the work to work, I experience always I got a reward.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it really felt, it felt that way during May when like, it just started, did some like bullshit scenes or whatever, like just seeing some stuff. And then that huge audition that a bunch of us read for came through. And then like prior to that, had I gone on tape for that was like a series regular, which my resume does not bear out to be going for. Right. I had read one other time for a series regular for like something way outside of possibility probably.
Yeah.
But so I was like, holy shit, I really did make the exact room for like, here is this.
Yes.
Which was great. What I did want to say was like looking at the other people who read for it, they clearly didn't know what they wanted. But also just like people who on paper are similar to me in age or race or whatever are like, oh my God, there's so many hotties. They're like,
yes,
not my thing. It's great. I like to watch them. Sure, don't we all? But like, there's just so many like, wow. So everyone very talented as well, but just like, oh, they're just probably gonna cast a hottie.
Well, but let's talk about this because here's what I love that you said. I'm loving it, Hayley. I'm loving it because this is one of the things that I discovered in my self-tape practice, and I didn't even have the benefit of looking at a bunch of other people doing it with me, but my casting became pretty fucking clear to me. And I think there's real power in that, right? Yeah. Just like, what do I bring? Like, what do I bring that other people don't bring? Because I love everybody who's in casting and everybody who works with actors to any degree. And, everyone will say, I've never met an actor that was like, my type's hot right now. Like everyone thinks
being hot is always
come on. Right. No, but see, the hot people look at character actors and think like, oh, they're so interesting.
Oh yeah, I want to
be interesting, right?
I want to do the character. Yeah. I don't want to do the hot person.
No, but it goes both ways, and then all the character actors are like, because they're just so hot.
Yeah,
right? It's like everybody, and then all the young actors think all the interesting roles are going older, and all the older actors think everyone younger's really got the chance, and like it's whatever you're not, you feel is what everyone wants, right?
Of course.
But I did find a lot of power in realizing what I bring to the table, and I'm always really, I hold my tapes, and I really recommend people do this even when they're real. Hold them for like 3 months. And then go back and watch them.
Well, going back to watch May now,
I bet
later, was mostly pretty painful. Like, just the bar keeps moving. This I love. The bar keeps moving for myself as I do different classes, other things, and like even stuff like even you had me send you some recent self tapes, and I was like, oh, I should just record something else because these already from 3 days ago, I would do it differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
It keeps moving, but I like that because it's this sort of living thing, the actual work itself. I like that bar moving.
You can nerd out on that all day, right? Yeah. When I was able to see all these other actors and I was able to really come to some terms, I was able to be like, I'm not hot. Like I'm not. Here's the thing. New Mexico standards. Right? When I go back home to New Mexico, I feel gorgeous. Yeah. I feel like just a gorgeous supermodel, right? But really, and you know that about yourself, but also like, who doesn't want to be their most gorgeous self, right? And then realizing, oh, I see. And I'm also, this is something that we can talk about too. Audrey, am really good with my own hair, makeup, and styling. And so I have a good ability to look much more attractive and a really good ability to look much less attractive. It's something that I have been doing my whole life, right? And so knowing and really playing with like, how attractive can I really go? And then how unattractive can I really go? And there's a window, but there are limitations. I Audrey, don't feel that I can go as like white trashy as maybe somebody else can. But that's because, I didn't start drinking until I was in my mid-20s. I didn't even touch weed until I was like 30, right? And then I sleep a lot, you guys. I sleep. I look so healthy.
J-Lo says too. That's how you maintain your
That's how you just sleep. I sleep. I nap. I sleep a lot. So there's that, and that's just not true for a lot of people, right? And so that does affect the way your skin looks. That affects your vocal tone and all those sorts of things. And then as far as being attractive is concerned, attractive and or reading rich, like that's just don't quite read. Don't quite do that.
Sure. God, the rich thing. Oh, God. Well, I feel like there's some benefit sort of to self-taping when you have to be really rich, that like my whole outfit doesn't need to say that I'm super rich.
Yeah.
I really, for those types of things, are like, get really in my head about what do you put on your body? Because I'm only as, however, not rich as I am.
Well, but I for auditions and stuff, I'll go and buy it and return it. I will. Like if I'm playing somebody of a certain kind of money.
So where do you truly, literally specific? Where would you go buy your rich person outfit?
So it depends on what the thing is, right? But like for an example, like I have a friend whose casting is like rich, educated woman. And she didn't own a suit because she had sort of like spent most of her casting life at a particular age range. And then she sort of aged into like, I could have a suit now. Right. And so she's like, wanted to go shopping with me for a suit. And I was like, all right, you ready to spend that rich girl money? And she was like, yes. And I was like, okay. So we went to Theory.
Yep.
I think she spent $1,100 on a full suit. It was the jacket and the slacks.
Fit her. Do they fit?
Well, that's the thing. Okay. Yeah, they do. And Theory in particular, they're very tailored.
You can tell I don't shop there.
No, right. It's very tailored. And then they do certain things like they make it for really long people and then they tailor it.
They tailor it to you. You can't return it, right? But she's going to use
Well, but she didn't. Well, so that's the thing is so she was really going for an investment piece. And it was such a great story because she bought it and then her second time wearing the suit, she booked a job and it paid for the suit.
Yeah.
And in the suit, right? She wore that. And I felt like there's like the cost of doing something and then conversely, there's the cost of not doing it.
Yeah.
And so the cost of not buying that suit is actually more expensive than the cost of buying that suit.
Yes. Well, I definitely over my time living here have come to that like
Discovery.
Any business of you must invest in it first and then make your money back.
And hopefully invest intelligently into the best because I think so many actors are just sort of like, I'll just spend money on stuff and there's no real direction to it. But with
why your podcast
I know so good. But with this girl in particular, she could tell that she was auditioning for women in suits more. And she felt like all of her stuff was just kind of a little immature and a little sad.
Yeah.
And she wondered if that would make the difference. And she obviously got a very clear answer that yes, in fact, it did.
Yeah.
And, then the value of that suit, because not only the money she made on that shop, but then all the residuals. It's like the suit is paid for itself many times over just by that. But it is a risk because you don't know if that's the difference.
Yeah.
And so the scariness is like, am I going to spend $1,100 on a suit and then not have that be the thing that seals the deal? So you just make you do your research, you make the best guess that you can. And if you keep auditioning for stuff and not getting it, that's one of the things that you can really look at.
Definitely. Well, I wanted to say too, like probably I'm still sort of getting super crystallized on my exact casting. But even before Self-Tape May, I was starting to trust my own instincts a little more. I had this previous manager who just kept saying oh, you need some sexy headshots. You need sexy. I don't have low self-esteem, but that is
I know. I feel the same way.
I have been around Los Angeles.
There are sexy girls.
Yes.
Right.
That is not me.
Honestly, it's not even the way that you look. It's
all kinds of stuff.
It's all kinds of stuff, right? I totally agree.
He was like, oh, get sexy. You need to look slick and polished like people look on television. So I have some headshots that look like the hot version of me that I never give that off in the room.
Yeah, no. It's an important thing to understand too, and this is part of what I hope that I can communicate in this podcast is, in the beginning, most of the representation that you are going to actually get, they're actually not that qualified. They're sort of throwing mud against the wall, and not to judge them because I think they're doing what they know how to do. And I do think just like actors, over time we get better in our years in the business and get clarity and more understanding. That's also true for representation. So I don't think it's necessarily fair to be like of the expectation that they should be so incredible at their job. For many actors starting out, you're not qualified for the representation that really knows what they're doing.
Definitely.
Right? And so it is part of why it's easy to stay lost longer is because the people who are quote unquote guiding you, it is the blind leading the blind, right? And then you're just like, sexy. Yeah, no, cool. Okay. And then you feel like, but then there's always this voice too of like, well, I can be sexy.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but yeah, right. No, I have people who wanted to sleep with me.
Yeah.
They think I'm sexy. Like, I feel it. But wait, Hayley, wait. You cute little cutie, you. I have to interrupt you.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you shit you didn't know about your union.
Okay, this shit you don't know about your union is brought to you by weaudition.com. That's weaudition.com. Promo code Audrey25. I know you're tired of hearing about it, but it's super affordable. You know what I really think is great is if you guys get on there and then you use WeAudition to make some money. Like if you're around and you want to make some cash, back in my waiting tables days, I was making like 20 to 50 bucks an hour, depending on whether it was a good night or not. And if I could have done that just going over sides with people, I would have super preferred that. So I recommend it. That way you're also working on current sides. You're working on just like what's happening out there. So often it's just about knowing what is auditioning, what are the characters, what are the sides. And if it were me and I was getting sides from somebody, I would get the sides, I work it with somebody, and then I go research that show. I think it's a really easy way to not just, make some money, but also get a really good hint on some of the current landscape. So I recommend it. We Audition, Audrey25. Go make some of that money, honey.
Hi, Audrey. It's Jonathan calling from Los Angeles. I actually have a shit you didn't know about your union suggestion because I just joined the union and now I got to submit an income statement and self-reported earnings and what's all this? Because first of all, how should I know? SAG, you're the one who sends me all the checks. Shouldn't you know? Why do I got to report this? And also, how do I know how much to report? Okay, well, anyway, that would be a great question for all of us just joining the union with questions because they sure don't talk about it during orientation. Thanks, Audrey. Talk later. Bye.
Okay, so let me tell you what this is. So I asked around about it. So sometimes there is a discrepancy between the checks that you get and what is reported to SAG Pension and Health. So depending on whether or not you are a person who is getting checks from SAG-AFTRA, that's something to look at. Whether or not you're getting a lot of checks or no checks, that can really make a difference in how complicated this process is. So, for example, there have been years where I have noticed that I have received maybe a few thousand in residual checks from a project, and then those residual checks didn't actually make it reported to my SAG-AFTRA health and pension fund. So where that can really be a problem is one, your employers, part of what's great about the union, they're supposed to match whatever it is that you make. They have to match a certain amount of money to the pension and health. So if it doesn't get reported to pension and health, that doesn't go to the big giant fund in the sky, which is what makes this so valuable. Because you investing money is just not nearly as powerful than if we pooled all of our money together as a union group, and all of that money then became valuable and something that grows itself in the money market. So that's part of why working together as a union financially makes us really strong. So if you are missing, say, $5,000 in your pension and health dollars that you did receive in your mail or in your direct deposits, because I know you all signed up for direct deposit already because it's available to you, then that's going to, hurt the whole group. Now, how that hurts you independently is when you are having your dollars matched for SAG-AFTRA for pension and health, that's about what you qualify for. So $18,000 minimum to qualify for SAG-AFTRA health insurance plan 2. And if you made $19,000, but you see that you only have $15,000 on there, well, that means that you actually did qualify, that pension and health just didn't get those checks. So you have to write them and let them know. That's also true for pension. There is a certain amount that you have to hit. We're going to do an entire pension episode to qualify for a pension credit. Listen, I don't trust that you are saving for retirement. I don't trust it. I have no belief you're saving for retirement. Luckily, the union is saving for retirement for you. So there are certain limits that you have to hit in order to earn and make your pension dollars. So this is just basically to make sure that A, you're getting the qualifications that you are supposed to be getting, and B, that the money that you make matches the money that these corporations are putting into your pension and health fund and the greater pension and health fund as a whole. So like I looked at my dollars and there were a few $1,000s missing that I'm going to report. So that's what I guess I would say. If you are looking at it and you're like, well, Audrey, how can I look at all this? This gets into Miata's episode about accounting. You need to know how much money you made. You all need to know how to log into your My Pension and Health website, www.sagaftraplans.org. That's www.sagaftraplans.org. I need everyone signing up over there. And so here's a really exciting thing that you could do just to track your money. Sometimes your residuals will come up sooner on the mysagaftraplans.org site than they will on your residuals tracker. And sometimes they'll come up sooner on your residuals tracker than they will on your mysagaftraplans.org. So I like to play this little game of where's Audrey's money coming from and how soon is it getting there? And I like to be ooh, that money's coming. So exciting. And then I like to go over to the residuals tracker and be ooh, that money's coming. So exciting. And then it's just a good way for me to see and make sure that it matches. So something you can do all year if you're crazy and you like seeing where your money's coming from, like me. And if you notice a discrepancy, you can catch it early. All right, you guys. That was a lot. Hope that's helpful.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
I've been out here, I would say, for how my resume looks, an embarrassing length of time versus what is on paper for me. Mm-hmm. But I know for me, I had to get really honest. It took a long time about I wasn't good when I moved. I have a fucking degree in theater.
Yeah, right.
I am.
So does everybody.
Yeah, and certainly there's coming from small Maine where I'm from to the big city is full of distractions and I had to figure my money out and all this shit. So I feel it took me a long time to get going, and I kind of wanted to talk about this with you because you are so pro-union, which I am also, but I stayed eligible for a long time.
Yeah.
But that was because I knew I wanted to become eligible because I want to join the union at some point. And so I became eligible and waited because I just wasn't at the level of people competing for jobs. I knew I was not. But so I waited a very long time, I would say, from my perspective, and then it started to become this maybe snake eating its own tail of now I'm still eligible, and there's not really anything, I'm not getting into any rooms, and forever, like you said, people only represent me across the board, and last year, I guess, I was I could be working in commercials, even shitty non-union commercials, all the time. And I'm not, I got like a commercial audition once every 3 months for my across the board rep. And I'm like, that doesn't seem right. Like, so I'm not getting the experience audition, even on the commercial. I like commercials, but like, obviously I want to join SAG was the goal. Like, so I made a change. I didn't want to go across the board with agents anymore. I got a commercial agent who's been great this year. And I would say like, and I booked a SAG commercial and I'm joined now.
Yes.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Like, but and even so, like, it's less auditions coming from the agency, but it's not zero. I haven't gone a week with no commercial auditions from them. So, fuck yeah, great. And but just the experience has been invaluable to me of like looking at auditions and callbacks on the commercial side this year. Over 100 appointments I went to, and now when I go into a commercial room, I am like relaxed and ready. I know what to do. I am not in my head. I would love to feel that way on the theatrical side. I don't, because I'm not walking into rooms very much at all. But like that experience was invaluable. I'm just, I guess, embarrassed that it's happening at year whatever that I've been here and not like my first or second year here.
Well, I think this is a really good example of exactly what I talk about on the podcast for so long, which is like, no one's going to move you up but you. People are perfectly content to let you be the top of the level that you're at.
Yeah.
And for many of you, that's the non-union commercial level. And not a lot of people out there and your current reps who are getting you those non-union commercial auditions are going to be like, you need to join. Hayley, I want you to push yourself further. Let's move up. Let's do more. Like that. I haven't experienced that from, I would say, 98% of the actors that I talk to who talk about their representation. What I actually experience is that people who go ahead and push themselves and join, even though they feel like maybe they're not competitive, it forces them to see that they're not competitive. And it forces them.
See.
But then it forces you to fix the problem.
Yeah, which I certainly.
Because if it's sort of like, resting on your laurels, right? Because if you're at the top of the bottom, right, then you feel like, I'm great. And you're like, I know, like, when I get to that level, I'm going to have to work harder to be competitive. Well, you don't have the real impetus because you are getting the validation that you're working.
Yeah.
And if you join and then you're not competitive and you can't do those non-union jobs anymore and all you have staring you in the face is that you're not competitive, then it forces you to go like, well, shit, or get off the pot.
Yeah.
Like, am I gonna do what's necessary?
I agree, but I would also say like, so you've joined, you have no credits, and you're working on making your own relationships with casting, which is going to be a lot of workshops, right? And I would say the workshop scene currently, they are like, oh, I love your agent or whatever. And like doing workshops with no representation means they're not going to probably bring you in unless you're so specific. You don't think?
No, I know people who don't have reps who get called in and book.
They call them directly. Damn.
They email them. They ask for their email. No, they're not legally allowed to.
They're
what they do is they ask the workshop person who runs the workshops for the email. They bring them in and they book them.
Okay.
It's a lie. I mean, I'm so interested. No, it is. I'm so interested.
But it really doesn't seem
this is in my mind. In my mind,
yourself, people are albino. Amputees.
No, that's not true.
I know.
I'm here to tell you that's not true. I mean, this is, I think, like so. I'm so glad we're having this conversation because I think it's these lies that we tell ourselves so that we can justify where we're at and make ourselves feel better instead of pushing ourselves to do whatever we need to get to the next level of results. My favorite example of this lie, actually, I always like comparing things to waiting tables. It feels less personal and you can sort of see the forest from the trees, right? But, where I waited tables for a long time in this really crappy restaurant, I was making like $100 a night was a really good night, right? And I was there for about 2.5 years. And I remember saying to myself, I would tell everyone who worked at this place, like, the thing is you just can't work at a nicer restaurant. Like the thing about a nicer restaurant is that you don't have flexibility. You don't get health insurance. It's just like really complicated. And you have to just be a full-time server. Like those places aren't going to hire you unless you know everything about food and beverage.
Okay, I hear
right?
it.
That's literally what I told myself, and I told everyone else that. And then I got this job at this high-end place. I knew shit for all about wine. I didn't know anything about wine. I mean, what I knew about food was I liked it.
Yeah.
And I got hired, and I was making like $300 on a lunch shift. I got health insurance as a part-time employee
From a restaurant.
from this restaurant.
Damn.
And there was a staff of like 20 to 30 waiters, so I also could get everything covered. And I convinced myself, I had told myself this lie that all those high-end restaurants had like 8 servers and they didn't have health insurance.
Yeah.
And that you had to be a career waiter. And that was a lie. It was just a lie. And I wish that I hadn't lied to myself for so long to keep myself in a shitty situation.
Let me say, as like a extension of my last point, was just I did find, so I signed with someone just commercially.
Yeah.
And then I did get a theatrical agent. They're not based in LA. They're southeast, but they had been submitting me this year, like all those
Yes, yeah.
submission things I
That's
sent
kind of a thing right now.
And I got a manager who I like very much, and I kind of think he's the difference. I know that he pitches me and like really gets the type.
Yeah.
And obviously compared to like Get Sexy Shots guy, it's
Right,
different.
yeah.
And so that felt very good. So we were discussing just this week, like, here's the numbers that came from theatrical agent auditions. It's very almost nothing. Like, should I roll back there covering LA and try to find an agent here? And so like, we're going to try that, but also why would anyone,
that's
why would
how I
anyone
feel.
rep me? There's nothing.
I love the honesty that you can have about that, because one of the things I really tell actors is like, what are you offering? Like, what do you bring to the table?
But I do like him a lot. It's been a good year, and all of my theatrical appointments, minus like 3, came from him.
I think
and
it's
like
great.
some were big,
Solid,
like, bigger than I'm gonna book. So it's been good, and I don't know if he would have taken me with my resume such as it is.
I don't think I would. I mean, I'm always looking at like, why would I invest in you? Like when when an actor comes and does a podcast and they're like, reps, I'm always like, yeah, no, I wouldn't rep you, or like, yes, I would rep you right now. And I do feel like the fact that I'd say for me, it's your work ethic. And what I think is, I think you have casting, like, lastability, I guess I could say. Like, I can see a way that your casting can mature and continue to grow. Like, I don't feel like we're like...
Great, what is that way?
Yeah, but like, I don't feel like I have like a timer that we have to like have you pop by the next 30 days or else you're...
Well, I feel that way.
Oh, yeah, no, you are absolutely...
They make us
that
feel
way.
bad about aging, but...
Yeah, but also, that's just not real anymore. I mean, if you look at shows, that's just not real.
I would say, I just re-listened to your episode with an agent the other day, and one of the people you like mock pitched him was like 28 to early 30s, white male, has booked co-stars, has a couple guest stars, and he's like, he needs to be further by this age. Like,
and
fuck. I mean,
but I also don't know.
all agencies are different, whatever.
100%. But I also don't know to what degree that's true now versus if this was 2006.
But it's not 2006.
Well, right, but you can't judge the trends.
Yeah.
I mean, that actor in particular, as a good-looking straight white male, has never not been in style.
Yeah.
And right now is the first time in history
I see.
where that's not true. And
Bummer.
well, that's it. It's like, like Crimea River for a lot of ways. But I do have legitimate, for any actor who's in any category, I do have legitimate feelings of like, that sucks. That, it sucks for all of us, because we're always trying to get to a place where we feel like there's momentum behind us and we have value. And then when you continually discover you don't and people don't care, it's a challenge. So I do think it is relevant to stay relevant and to work as hard as you can to continue to maintain that, especially because you don't know what's going to be in or out at any particular moment.
Yeah.
And I also think it's important to really nurture your relationships and not just treat them well when you're working and treat them poorly when you're not, or auditioning or not.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So anything else you want to say about self-tape May?
Yeah, really quickly, I was gonna say, like, as a caveat to, like, oh, I got my money figured out, and, like, figuring out how to make time for all the self-tapes and doing it in May. Like, the thing for me that fell off was, like, doing fitness. And I, like, definitely need to be just for general health, but I also think some of my casting is a little better if I'm a little
wavier.
That I can't be such a curvaceous.
What I like that you said about what you just said right now is your casting. I really want to talk about that because, we don't really talk about like weight stuff on this podcast, but
I know I hesitate to.
No, it's fine. It's not because I don't want to. It's just we haven't. And one of the things I think is really important is understanding your casting and then the time and energy of working out and what the return on that investment is. And I had this experience where I was like, I'm working out 5 hours a week, and it just made me like a smidgen more fit. But I'm a really active person in general, and so working out, to me, I didn't see the giant return on investment, and I had this discussion with myself about my casting. And I was like, okay, if I lost like 15 pounds, that takes a real monumental effort from me. And it's a real effort. And I would just have to sort of be okay with, like, I'm just not going to eat for the rest of my life, and I'm going to work out a lot. And if that was imperative for my casting personally, then I would have to just commit to that choice and be okay with that. But I felt like that actually put me in like a Cate Blanchett, Jennifer Connelly sort of casting, which is a little more cold, a little more shrill. And Audrey, didn't feel that was my casting, that my casting is actually fulfilled at my current weight.
Well, I feel that way too. Like, it's a chore. When I do it afterwards, my brain feels good.
No, I think it's smart. Jesse's the same way.
But I feel much like you described.
Yeah, right.
Like, I should probably, for here, 15 pounds.
Yeah.
and not eat. I love eating.
Yeah.
And really spend a lot more time. And I would like to, just for health reasons, have a regular practice of exercising unrelated to acting.
Totally get it.
But since I live a little outside of LA now, like the adjustment of that for me has been like, well, a lot of the time I had been working out is spent driving back home now.
Yeah, right.
And there's so many other things I can do while driving. Like, I call my mom every week.
Yeah,
that's
right.
great. Like,
yeah.
But just the working out, like, and I've prioritized sleep more than that because, like, I'm not a morning person.
Yeah,
so
right.
Like, middle of the night working out, but then I won't be able to go to sleep. So, I do think my casting, especially with this.
Yeah, your hair.
Thing,
yeah.
And
I want you to know that are you working out a lot right now?
No.
Like, as I currently see you, I don't see that. That's true. Like, I think
but
where
I used
you are
to
now.
Be when I was like, like last year I was buff.
Yeah, but I don't see an issue. Like, I look at you and I go, like, you're castable right now with your current weight.
Well, I think some of the stuff that I'm going out for that I love and want to and is like non-binary or like like gay girl stuff that like, and they see short hair and like mostly I don't carry my weight on the top half of my body, so like my headshot looks like I might be a lot skinnier than I am.
No, but
oh my god, I can't believe we're talking about.
No, it's good because I'm the same way because I carry out my weight.
But they want like androgynous and like sure I have a shot that kind of looks androgynous.
No, but see that's all wardrobe. See, you're thinking it's all wardrobe. You think that has anything to do with, like, you guys just look at Hayley, you'll Google her. I'm telling you, like,
but you'll only see pictures like.
No, but see, that was part of what I realized was like I was working so hard in trying to like budge something, and I realized like that's actually just pants that fit correctly.
Yeah.
That's actually a jacket that fits you correctly. Like, that's actually what they do, is they do that to you.
Yeah.
And that there are people with all kinds of body types and all kinds of shapes. That's actually just tailoring.
Yeah.
And especially because
But that's when I have your good, like, sharp wardrobe for auditioning for yourself.
That's what I'm saying.
Like it in
that's
the
right.
room.
But then that's the investment.
Yeah.
It's like you're not spending maybe 5 hours working out, but you're spending 5 hours a month as opposed to a week. You're spending 5 hours a month going to the tailor, getting some pieces done and getting some pieces like really fit you so that you have the look. And also, they're not doing wide shots mostly almost at all in television. They're only shooting you from the chest up. So like, I don't know what you're panicking. Now, if you want to work out for your mental health, I definitely support that.
Yeah.
But if you're feeling like it's between working out, so that I'm a little bit skinnier or not working out. I'm telling you, if this is you not working out a bunch, I see zero that I'm like, I definitely am not like, oh God, Hayley, like we need to lose 10 pounds. I don't feel that way at all. Okay, so we're more or less going to wrap up,
Right.
but I want to know, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah.
She's got a list here, you guys. I'm ready.
I do.
I'm ready. Let's roll it out.
A few things really quick, and some you've probably
Yeah.
covered in different stuff. Okay,
Sure.
This one's very specific, but it's like possibly going to come up again. So I did like last year this workshop with a casting director. It was multiple week, and at the end we had like a one-on-one with this casting person,
Sure.
which is great. And she asked, "Okay, what do you need from me?" And I had done well in the workshop, like good feedback, good responses. And so one-on-one, she's like, "What do you need from me?" And like, I didn't have reps then, but like desperate, thirsty actor brain was like, what the fuck do you say to that?
Yeah,
what do you
right.
say to that? Like, give me a job. Like, I didn't say that. I don't know what bullshit I said. But like, she did. And I think what I said ultimately was like, I don't know the next steps, getting into rooms, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And she did say, keep going. And she's a very high up person that like, that did fucking help. That was like,
Yeah,
okay,
right.
she didn't say maybe.
Maybe it's time. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, what do I need from you? Seems like a weird loaded trap question from casting.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Like, we don't have an actual relationship.
I think clarity about type, even asking like, if I was on your show, what professions do you think you would cast me in your show? I think is a good question.
Great.
Right? If you have a lot of balls, ask, do you think I'm ready to work? Do you think I need to keep training? Do you think I'm ready to work? Because I would like to know that. If I would have liked to know, like, I think you need more practice auditioning.
Yeah.
Or I think you're really good. I could tell you're trained. I think you need a little more time. Go train, work harder. Even questions about type, like some people want to know about their headshots.
Yeah.
I think like that's a great, have a question about like, do you think this headshot is helpful or representative of me?
Yeah.
Or my manager says I should just have some sexy shots. Is that true?
Yeah.
I think like really clear, specific questions with the interest in collecting actual data.
Yeah.
Like if you have new headshots and you have two casting directors who tell you that maybe they don't represent you, you have to decide, is 2 enough?
Yeah.
Is like 2 out of 4 enough data? Or do you want to get 10 to tell you that?
Yeah.
Right? And if you've done 10 workshops and 2 have told you that, then are you going to listen to the 2 or are you going to listen to the 8 that didn't say it? Right?
Yeah.
And so if you have 2 that said that it wasn't representative of you, then I would say maybe then ask for more data from another casting director.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Great answer.
Is that helpful?
Yes.
Okay, good. I have 2 notes for you regarding your materials. Okay, so let me tell you about your haircut because nobody's told you about it. I love the short hair. I want you to know that your haircut of this short hair, I think, is not modern. Do you know that?
No.
I think that's why you're going out for, gender neutral.
I want to go out for.
I'm fine with that, but I think if you got even like a little bit more of a modern pixie, I think you would still go out for that, but would also go out for a little bit more of a cutie little secretary, little cutie patootie.
And are you basing that on
Everything.
looking at me? Also the pictures. Okay.
The pictures, the footage, I had her send me her self-tape. Yeah, because it's interesting. Like,
Well, like, because
it's a little heavy is
like,
why.
I need a trim or whatever. But
Yeah.
whatever. I'm getting my hair cut every 4 weeks because it's short. so,
Yeah,
like,
it's short.
change
I
it
know it's
all
a
the time.
lot. No, it's just it's a little heavy is what it is. And it's interesting. It works, I think, for like that bartender scene that you have where you're the lesbian bartender.
Yeah.
It works really great for that. And I think it works for like the sci-fi stuff, interestingly enough, because it kind of looks like otherworldly.
Yeah.
Right? So just know it's a choice. But I think it's actually like I think it's that it's not razored a lot. It's like it's
Around here.
I think it's just thick. I think the whole thing is a little bit heavy, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So who are you going to?
It's not in Los Angeles.
Yeah. So that might be part of
Yeah,
it, right? It's a little bit 90s lesbian like mall walker mom. I hate to tell you.
You don't hate
I do hate to tell you because
No, that's great. That's
I feel like, well, that's the thing though, is I feel like nobody will tell you.
Yeah.
And I think the short hair, especially with your frame and your beautiful face, I think it's so cool. And you guys, she has some footage with the long hair, and it's so interesting to see the difference. But wait, Hayley, wait. You cute little cutie, you. I have to interrupt you.
Help me. I need some help.
And now it's time for listener questions.
I'm so scared.
If you have a listener question, 667 Actor 70. That's 667 Actor 70. Okay, this listener question is brought to you by Carla Zuniga Hair. Hi, Carla. How are you, girl? Okay, so Carla does fantastic hair here in Los Angeles. If you need a great cut, I can't stress this enough. So as you heard me just talk to Hayley, a really good cut can really be vital for your casting. You know, Hayley in particular has this cute little pixie cut, and it needs to be cut in a way that can handle the thickness of her hair. She's got a lot of hair. Some of you have thick hair, some of you have thin hair, some of you have curly hair, all hair. One of the things that I hear all the time from people is they say, oh, I can't have that haircut because my hair, fill in the blank. My hair is to this. My hair is to that. My hair won't, blah, blah, blah. And I always say to them, that's not about your hair. That's about a good haircut. That's a good hairstylist. So a person who can really cut hair is somebody who can do things with your hair really no matter what the texture, no matter what the length. You know, listen, she can't make hair appear that doesn't appear. But if you're looking for a certain style and you are a little bit trepidatious about whether or not your hair in specific can handle that, I recommend giving Carla a call. Everyone who goes to Carla has a fantastic time. I get lots of texts, lots of messages from people who are like, I just went to Carla. Oh my God, Carla is life, which is true. Especially I want to say, if you've got curly hair, my friend texts me every time. She's like, Carla is a witch. And I'm like, I know, she's so good. So Carla Zuniga Hair. So you want to find her on Instagram. That's at CarlaZuniga Hair, and schedule an appointment. Carla Zuniga Hair. All right.
Audrey Moore. Hi, this is Sam Valentine. I am calling from Los Angeles. I told you I was going to ask this question, so I feel like now's a good time. I am a SAG actor working in Los Angeles. I would call myself a Phase 2 actor. And I am getting married this summer, which is just beyond exciting, and I'm thrilled and grateful, and it's awesome and amazing, but it's also a huge time suck. And as low key as we're making the wedding, it's still a huge money suck. Shockingly, we're not even getting married in Los Angeles. We're doing a backyard wedding in Colorado. But I'm curious your thoughts of maintaining status as a working actor while still leaving to get married. If it helps, we're getting married in July, which is a pretty quiet month usually for myself. So that's what I got. Love you. Bye.
Okay, I have obviously so many thoughts about this. I would say the best advice I can give you is to be really nice to yourself for these next, few months. You are going to have limited time, energy, and money to focus on your career at this time. And I think you should probably just surrender to that. You know, the good news is that once you're married, I have experience from everybody I know who, like, once the wedding is done, like, a lot of really great work can settle in. There's something about just sort of the commitment of marriage, the settling of the marriage that just feels like a little bit calmer after the storm. And from that, I think a lot of relaxation, just knowing that you're sort of legal now, you're with your partner, it's done, it's settled, and all of that is gravy, baby. So I would say, to the best of your ability, try to enjoy this time, putting together and planning a wedding. Hopefully you're only going to do it once in your life. And surrender to the fact that you can only have so much time, energy, and money to put on to your work. And that's okay. It's not permanent. You're not a lazy person. You're not an apathetic person. And so you're doing this right now because this is just taken momentarily. It's taking up some space in your life. And there's not anyone who would say that that's not something that you should do. Hopefully once in your life. And so I would really take the time to enjoy it. Now, it sounds like you're doing what you need to be doing as far as not spending too much money. You don't know where money is going to come from or go. And all I can say really is make sure that you bring your ring light, girl, because I have a lot of friends who got married and a lot of people who booked jobs right before their wedding. I have a friend who did a self-tape the day of his wedding in the morning and then did book that job. That was I think 6 days later. I personally booked a really big top of show guest star that shot, I think, 8 days before my wedding. So, just be ready for that and don't panic. And here's what I want to say too. One of the best things about being an actress and getting married is this is not your one time to shine. And I have to say, I felt so, so grateful about that I didn't have any stress about this is my day to be beautiful. Oh, it's my day to get the dress right. Oh, I have to look so pretty. I was just whatever, because I knew I was going to be able to get dressed up and take beautiful pictures and be a star. That's what I do for a living. So, I was really able to just focus on the time with Jesse and my friends and family and have a good time. So I think you're doing great, honey. You get off your back, Sam Valentine. Okay. You guys, do you think we should have Sam Valentine on to do a leveling up episode? You just write me and let me know. I think it'd be fun. Okay. Bye, girl.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
I just want to give you the feedback that I watched your comedy reel and I didn't laugh.
Great. Great. Well, it's funny. Even you were talking earlier about which side to focus on. And I always loved comedy. I stopped focusing in class on comedy because I was very, very bad at drama. And so in class, whatever, when there's stuff to pick, I've done a lot of drama recently and I feel like comedy skills definitely have atrophied. So what is the step? Stop focusing on comedy? I know that,
I think both are good for you. I do. Who knows where, also it's this thing of who knows what the directions are going to go? I mean, in LA, I think I counted 38 comedies shooting in and around the Los Angeles area. And for those of you trying to do comedy in New York, there's 4 in New York City. So good luck with that. So I think if you can do comedy, it would be remiss for you not to keep that open for yourself if you like it and you enjoy it.
But no part of the comedy reel is good.
No, I didn't say that. I was oh, she does characters. Okay. But I wasn't ha. And the thing is comedy is the hardest one. Footage-wise, it's the hardest to get. To get a laugh requires so much good editing, good all of that. And I don't even recommend that people shoot necessarily comedy reels anymore. I think they should shoot funny characters and dramas.
Yeah.
It's just easier to pull off the look, the sound, the whatever of a drama. Not so different than the church character that you have, right?
Yeah.
She's a funny character, but it doesn't seem like it's a comedy. It seemed like it was a 1-hour drama of some kind, right?
Yeah.
But your character was funny.
Yeah.
Right? So I just thought if I don't tell you, then I don't know who will. Okay. Any other questions you have for me? Great. You've handled this like a champ, Hayley. You've handled it like a champ. Okay, good. Why acting?
I really love sometimes out of almost nothing, sudden intimate connection from just the work and when everything is ideal, beautiful collaboration between all departments. It's so cheesy sounding, but it really is oh, yes, everyone coming together.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's moving to me.
Yeah.
What is the best part about the business for you?
I think it's that. It's make something common goal and achieving it, or
a giant collaborative creative process. Yeah. What is the worst part about the business for you?
Everything.
Growth.
I don't there's so much garbage. There's so much garbage and really not knowing what to do. If you didn't exist and I was here where I am now, I don't know what's my next step. I don't have this podcast to listen to. It really is so obviously, because you did it and directed yourself. It's just so hard to know, and there's so many catch-22s of you must do this but never do it. Like,
Well, it's so hard to know because everyone has their own path also. And then I think so few people are really being honest about their path. And so you get into this compare place and then you find out like, wait, you did that?
yeah.
Oh, you had that thing? Oh, well, I don't have that thing. And then you just feel like, well, then I would have been really nice to myself these last 2 years when I was being jealous of you if I had just known that, like, you had that and I don't have that thing, right? Yeah. What do you wish somebody had managed to teach you or get you to understand when you were just a wee babe entering this little business?
Well, really, I probably said it already. Like, I wish before I moved here or when I moved here, I was real about my abilities. I wasn't. I didn't really know how to act. Like, good class is worth it is one of mine. And for me, now that I do know I'm here for real and I love it, having gotten stuff and enjoyed most of the process a lot, I would have not gone to college and just moved here.
Yeah, I mean, this college thing, I feel so fortunate that I got the scholarships that I had because I would have said yes to all the debt. And I think it would have made it completely impenetrable for me to actually make headway in this career. I would have been spending, probably half of my time just trying to pay off my college debt.
Yeah.
And I just go like, is that worth it? And I wouldn't have a problem with it if what was being taught was valuable to like actually work and earn money. But I think we're taught like a lot of instrument stuff, which I think is really great. But, also I'd like to pay my rent.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't. And like, because of how I understand how to move through here, gonna be in class all the time anyway. So like,
yeah,
you can
exactly.
skip a degree program and go directly to the source material.
But it depends on what you want to do. Like if theater is really your bag, like if you really want to do theater, then you do have to have that instrument. And then I do think a conservatory training at minimum of a bachelor's level, but probably at a master's level too. If you're going to be doing 8 shows a week, in theater, a beast, material's a beast, right? Like, do you have the instrument that can handle that? So that's like a particular thing. But otherwise,
it's weird for me to say it anyway, because I love school.
Yeah,
I
right.
loved college, and it helped me grow up in some ways. And like my all close friends are from there, whatever. But like,
but just looking at it as a business decision, I had a guy that I used to date who was in business school, is getting his master's at USC Business School, and he said it's something that I thought was so interesting. He said a lot of the people that business school is like really prestigious, and he said a lot of people who are going to that business school, they're already business professionals, and so they're going to go get their master's, and what they're really looking at is, what is the cost-benefit analysis of that 2-year program? And not just the 2 years, the cost of those 2 years in school in the sense of like how much money you have to pay the school to go to that school, but the money you're losing in not working. So for many of them, that's also expensive. If you're making $80,000 a year and then you spend $40,000 a year on school that year, you're not just spending $40,000 a year, you're losing $120,000 for a year, right?
Yeah.
And then not just the cost of money, but what relationships are you losing in not being in the actual working force versus what relationships are you gaining by being a part of that program?
Yeah.
And is the $120,000 times 2 years loss worth it for the relationships that you'll be gaining as being part of that program? And that blew my mind. I was like, God, I never even thought of college like that. Like, because I get people all the time who are like, should I apply to Yale? Should I apply to whatever grad program? And I'm like, you just have to do the math of like, is that 3-year program and the money that you'll be spending in that 3-year program and not spending that time earning those relationships in the actual market, is that valuable for the trajectory that you want to see yourself? And then do the research, check out the old grads. What are they doing? What's happening? It's expensive. Okay. So mildly interesting.
This is a little intimate, maybe. Like,
I like it.
Or maybe it's dated and I'm just, Mall walker.
Okay, hilarious. 90s mall walker mom.
But I didn't know how not that expensive now if you like get a Groupon. Laser hair removal?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
and it's
so good.
amazing. Also, I didn't think it was that amazing because like when you leave, you're like, this doesn't look any different. And then like a couple weeks go by and you've got like bald patches on your area and like, holy shit, it's amazing. And it doesn't hurt that bad.
Yes.
I love it.
Sign her up, you guys. Sign her up for the laser hair removal. I like it. Well, thank you so much for coming over, and thank you for participating. And thank you for being such a master trooper. I mean, you guys, she's been close to tears a couple times, but she's been handling it like a boss.
How dare you?
and I appreciate it. So, thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you soon. Okay, yay. Special thanks to Hayley O'Connor for coming on the show. She drove down from Santa Barbie. Those of you who don't know what that means, it's like at least an hour and a half drive, depending on traffic. So, thanks, girl. All right, Hayley's also doing really great, you guys. So hit her up on Instagram. She's, I'm sure, going to participate again in Saute May. So are you. Big thanks to Patricia Cuffie-Jones, our first draft editor. You can see her new TV show out now on UMC called Stuck With You. I'm watching it. I'm loving it. Stuck With You, UMC, Patricia Cuffie-Jones. Get it, girl. Also, Thomas Hank Snodgrass. He doesn't live across the street anymore, but luckily the internet exists. And also to my executive producer and husband, still so handsome, you guys. Jesse Lumen, the one, the only, the rock star. Show music is brought to you by Ari De Niro, and our theme song assistance is still brought to you by Aalok Mehta and 108 Hill. All right, don't forget your towel.